Hey folks, Deano here again. This time, with my fourth take of this recording. This is the Mighty Strike Freedom Gundam. Yeah, this is the model kit that I thought I was buying when I accidentally purchased the Strike Freedom. And yeah, despite the fact that the two suits are visually very similar, apart from the wings, they are an entirely new mould, so I could in the end justify having both of them. But yeah, this is pretty much a straight upgrade. It's from the new Gundam Seed Freedom movie that came out relatively recently. I think it might have been earlier than a year. This kit itself came out a few months ago, and yeah, I loved the look of it ever since. But yet, that's not to say that I don't like the Strike Freedom. Despite the fact it's got polycaps, this one doesn't. This is a full plastic built kit, which will hold up a lot better over time. Apart from those C-clips in the feet. Be careful of those. C-clips do tend to snap. But yeah, for some reason, I really like the design of this overall, but I kind of prefer the silhouette of the Strike Freedom, despite the fact it's an older kit. So yeah, if you get space in your shelf and time to build them, I would say go for both. I also have the Rising Strike Freedom, or the Rising Freedom, I think it's called, coming from AliExpress, the bootleg version. So look forward to that. But yeah, you will notice there are decals on this guy. I apologise. The first time I tried to record this, my phone decided it wanted to tell me there was an update mid-recording, which stopped the recording dead. That is a massive oversight, Samsung. Get that sorted. Like, that is infuriating to deal with. And the fact that I had to deal with it twice. But yeah, the second time I recorded my entire review and realised once it was done and I'd started putting the stickers on that I'd forgot to do the accessories segment. So I had to try again, at which point my phone decided once again to tell me there was an update and cancelled the recording again. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm not very pleased. And that's nothing to do with the kit itself. So yeah, please Samsung, get your act together. But yeah, anyway, let's take a look at the box. Link is in the description if you want to purchase either this guy or the Strike Freedom. I'll try and find links on Amazon and AliExpress to both those kits. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. But yeah, box time. So yeah, as I said in the Strike Freedom review, don't expect like background knowledge on these kits, on the suits and on the series, anything like that. I am only just getting into other Gundam series outside of Gundam Wing. So yeah, apart from the bare minimum, I don't know much about these suits or the series they come with. So I'll be reviewing these solely on how they look and how they articulate. So yeah, keep that in mind. Speaking of the box, it's pretty much a standard high-grade box at this point, with the nice render on the front. Only difference is they've kind of changed the colours about a bit on the sides. It's no longer like silvers, we're now getting blues, which is nice. That's a bit nicer to look at. But yeah, HG Cosmic Era. I have no idea why, like, all these Gundam shows take place in different universes. You've got the Universal Century universe, which is the classic Gundam universe, where the RX-782 and that is. You've got the After Colony universe, which is the Gundam Wing universe, and this one is the Cosmic Era, which I'm not sure if this takes place in the future of Universal Century or anything like that. But yeah, it's just a bit strange considering the fact that all these different universes all know how to build Gundams. But yeah, we've got the Gundam Seed Freedom movie logo right here. Mighty Strike Freedom Gundam, Bandai Spirits 2024, made in Japan, down the bottom corner. This is a relatively new kit, as I said. It's only a few months old at time of this recording. The Strike Freedom was a lot older. That was 8 years old. This is only 3 months. So yeah, obviously a lot of differences. 8 plus Bandai logo, all that jazz. On the side, we have the same render. On this side of the box, we have some of the poses, which I'll be honest, this is the pose I'm going to be going with once the review is over and he ends up on my shelf. Same render on that side, and on this side we just have the standard heroic stance pose and the legalese. So yeah, standard model kit box, if a bit chunkier. Because it obviously doesn't use polycaps, it has to use a bit more material for the joints and such. So yeah, I do really like how it's been built. So yeah, let's take a look at his accessories this time, and I will remember them this time. So in terms of accessories, I will be comparing them mostly to the ones the Strike Freedom comes with, because for the most part he comes with the same accessories that kit does, just updated. Surprisingly, not a single part is shared between this kit and the Strike Freedom. If you didn't see that off camera, I pointed at the Strike Freedom. It's off camera for the comparison later. But yeah, first off, we have his beam shield, which this is the one it comes with. It's a nice pearlescent effect in the plastic, really shines, really gives the effect that it is like a powered piece. It's not just clear plastic. Whereas the old version was literally just blue tinted clear plastic, which, I mean, it got the point across, but yeah, it's nowhere near as good looking as this. Even the sculpt for this one is far better. You'll notice as well, the implementation, while it looks the same, it's actually like different peg system, so they are not interchangeable, unfortunately. That goes for the rifles and such as well. So yeah, bit of a shame. I'll quickly show this on. So apologies, I just cut my nails. So if we move that wing out of the way, and I get my finger in there, there we go. So that bit comes off. I recommend very gingerly putting this in, because if you put it in too much, you are not getting it back out of that hole. I'll be completely honest with you, you're not getting that out of there if you're not careful, because there's no way to get it back out without a pry tool. So yeah, make sure there's a bit of a gap there when you do it, and it just slots onto his arm, easy as that, and looks really nice. Looks as if it's coming out of his arm. That powered effect there, and yeah, it's a nice change of pace. We're so used to getting like actual shields with a Gundam that one that just disappears into his wrist is such a really nice concept. Really like it. Next up, we have his beam rifles. So if you get out the way, they're Mighty Strike. So these are the ones that you get with this kit. They look almost identical to the old ones, but they aren't. I think if any parts are reused, it would probably be the red sort of sight part, but even that I don't think is the same because there's more detail. on these new ones. But yeah, completely new sculpt. That goes for the entire kit, to be honest. Not a single part has been reused apart from maybe the hands. But yeah, you even get more sticker decals for the blue. So you can see there's an extra bit of detail around the inside of there. And they still fit together the same way. So this bit flips around like that. You flip the handle in on this one, or keep it out and have him like double hold it, and then that slots in there. And then you pull out the butt of the gun, and there you have his powered up double blaster. So yeah, really nice. Only difference between this one and the old mold in terms of function, because the old one can like combine together as well, is if I can find the right one. Yeah, there we go. So the old one, apart from missing that extra bit of detail on the inside for that blue, also the barrel extends on the old one, which kind of makes it look a bit nicer, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, apart from that, they are functionally identical despite being entirely new molds. In fact, could I? I could probably... kind of. I don't know why it's having a bit of trouble there. Can I fit that? You could probably fit it together. I'm just worried about that bit getting stuck in there. The muzzle section. But yeah, only difference aesthetically is there's an extra curve at the back of this beam rifle, if you see there, and the plastic is a different colour. It's a more navy blue on the older rifle. On the new one, I think they just went with the same colour plastic as his chest. So yeah, other than that, really nice design for both of them. We have a replacement V-fin, which this is like an extra attack, I think it is. The V-fins, on all high grades, you get a sort of safety nubs on the edges. I always recommend cutting those off. It looks far nicer without it. I don't know how to sharpen them properly without like potentially ruining it. A lot of people online will show you how to sharpen the V-fins so that they look much more like real grades. But yeah, keep that in mind. Unfortunately, the opening part, because this is all one piece, you had to use stickers on the sides, which is why I am not using it on the kit. I also had a little bit of gold in the middle just to make it stand out a little bit more. So yeah, decent enough. Those stickers will probably peel off at some point though, so bit of a disappointment. In terms of the beam sabers, they are entirely different from the Strike Freedoms. They are a lot more detailed, which I have taken the liberty of panelining. Really nice. They slot right into the hands, easy enough. And yeah, really like them. They are supposed to fit onto the side of his rail cannons, those skirt pieces, but the tolerances are way off for some reason. So you try and put them on, they either just sit there or they fall off with the slightest breeze. Bit of a disappointment there, Bandai. I would have expected better from a brand new kit, but what you gotta do? It's out now, you can't really do anything about it. He also has, unlike the Strike Freedom, where the two beam sabers just connected together, Bandai opted to parts form this time, which, I mean, I get why they would do it. It would be a lot harder to fit the two of them together with all this extra detail. But yeah, it just means if you're not using the double-bladed section or the two separate ones, you are going to struggle to find a place to put this. It's not going to fit on the suit at all. So yeah, parts forming, never really a good thing, is it? But to be honest, I would rather take stability with something like this to functionality. And you can, which side is it? One side of these pops off, there we go. So yeah, you do not have to split the hands to get any of these accessories into them, which is very welcome. Splitting the hands is much more tedious than taking apart an effect piece. Speaking of effect piece, the beam saber blades, mines did not do too well in the packaging. Both of them are warped, really badly, I would say. I mean, it's not too much of a deal because I've got millions of these at this point. But if these are the only kits you're going to buy, it's going to be a bit of a disappointment to open the box and find that your blades are all warped. Apparently a bit of hot water will force these back into a straight position, but in this day and age, these should really be protected more in the package. I don't know why these blades are still like flexible plastic, to be completely honest. Why are we not just making them hard plastic, so that they stand up to wear and tear a lot better? I don't really get it. Finally, for weapons, we have his massive long katana, which, I mean, the length of it alone in my hand is quite big. And then you realise the size a Gundam is meant to be, and this is near enough the same size he is. So this is like the size of a 20-story building. Like, not even kidding. And yeah, there's just something about a massive mobile suit running around with a giant hand-forged katana that's funny to me. And it's really nice. It uses the same gold like injection plastic. In fact, I would almost say there's kind of like a paint application to this gold, which I'll explain more in a minute. But yeah, really nice looking. The handle, I put a bit of a panel line into it. The panel lines are there, you might as well use them. Brings out the detail. And the black, I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera, because it's really different. But yeah, despite being one piece, it's got two different textures to it. You've got the glossy side on what's supposed to be the sharp end of the like the cutting end, and then you have this more sort of matte speckled look on the top for like the blunt end, which looks really good. I didn't expect them to put in that much detail to it. So yeah, what is this blade actually called? Let's have a look at the box. Can we see it? Is it going to tell me? No, it is not. Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. There's no way I'm going to remember that name in the review, so if someone wants to correct me down in the comments, they can. I just love the look of it. And it fits really nicely in the hand. Snug fit, but pops in really well. That will definitely be getting posed with him on the shelf. And finally, for accessories, he comes with two pairs of hands to build. So you've got the pair I've got on him just now, which is the standard high grade sort of square grip fist sort of hand, and also a pair of posy hands, which compared to the Strike Freedom, not only are the sort of hand guards got a bit more detail in them, so you can panel line them, the gold is also a lot nicer looking. I really like it. You could panel line these for inside the sort of knuckle sections, but yeah, I just loved how they looked standard, so I just left it at that. I do really think this gold plastic has like some sort of paint app on it, because yeah. Let's take a look at the suit itself now. So yeah, as I said before, the all my Gunpla are always panel lined before I do the review, just to show you what that looks like with a little bit of effort. And yeah, it really brings out the detail on this guy. He's not quite real grade level with the amount of detail that's on him, but he is close enough, in my opinion. Obviously, if they do make a real grade of this guy, I'll probably get it. I won't be getting the real grade of the Strike Freedom or the Strike Gundam. Or is it just the Freedom Gundam? The amount of names for these Gundams and they all sound the same. Yeah, I won't be getting those because they suffer from early real grade syndrome. They go dead floppy and things like that. And frankly, some of the high grades look better than them now. So yeah. But yeah, in terms of details, ignoring the decals, obviously, I put those on just for the sake of it before I realised I had to redo the review. Yeah, mostly the details in this guy are really nice. The gold shines like amazingly well. Can I find a nub mark though? That's the thing. I don't think I can, but yeah, the reason I think this gold plastic has like a paint put over it is the fact that when you take the nub marks off, there's sort of like a black plastic underneath, which is a bit strange. Wasn't expecting that. Although I'll take painted plastic over like actual gold plastic, because if you grew up in the 90s like I did, a lot of figures back then started using gold plastic, which suffered from what we call today gold plastic syndrome, in which the gold plastic ended up being very, very brittle. And you don't want that on a figure you're supposed to pose, especially if you're doing it on the joints. Saying that though, there are two different types of gold plastic on this. The hidden parts of the joints that you can't see, those are a sort of lighter gold, which I would assume is much more durable for the actual joint section. But the bits you can see are that sort of really deep, almost greeny gold on this. But yeah, the gold just in general in this guy looks far better than that of the Strike Freedoms. Amazing what 8 years will do, eh? But yeah, overall, love the detail work on this guy. Especially love the face as well. The wings have a lot of panel lines on them as well for you to detail. And yeah, you put some stickers on this guy, he's going to look fantastic. In terms of articulation, I think what we'll do is we'll take the backpack off. A lot of people sort of slot the backpack off because technically that black piece on the wings here, that's his backpack. But I prefer to just leave it on if I'm taking the wings off, frankly, because it's your standard high grade 2-peg system at the end of the day. So yeah, much easier than slotting it on and off, potentially wearing down that plastic. So let's get you off the stand now that you can stand up on your own. And yeah, in terms of articulation, the neck is on like a new style system. So there's a sort of hinge back and forth on there. If I can do that without the camera freaking out on me, that would be brilliant. So yeah, you've got back and forth. You also still have him on like a ball peg, so he can look up until that far. He can look down into his chest really easily, although there is not much point in that because all you can see is blackness. We have swivel and a lot of pivot on that ball joint, which is really nice. There's a lot of expression to be had there. No side to side movement, but that pivot will more than make up for it. The arms, we have an entirely new system, because obviously there's no polycaps, so nothing to slot in. If we just see there, don't really want to pull it apart too much because it's gold plastic. It can break. So yeah, the peg is actually coming out of the arm this time instead of going into it. You have a swivel in there which gives you some up and down movement on top of the ball peg, which gives you even more. And you also get a butterfly, so we get a nice swivel there. We get, just using that joint, we get up that far. You can then use the arm joint to get even further up. The shoulder piece does not get in the way at all, I am pleased to announce. And in terms of butterfly joint, you get really far, which is really good. That is better range than some figure arts. And now that that's pulled out, you can actually see how that works. So you've got it attached to a peg, which swivels, and all the rest of it. Really good. Do really like that. Bicep swivel right there. Double joint at the elbow, which without that shoulder piece would actually get almost the full 180. Shoulder piece has to stay though, so we judge it on that. We actually have this sort of, it's not a ball joint at the wrist here. It sort of swivels, but you do get a bit more range, a bit more dynamic posing at the wrist thanks to that. You also have the standard ball peg wrist right there. Waist section has 2 hinges, which both together he can look down that far, which is really nice. He can't really go back much, a little tiny bit, but yeah, not a terrible amount, unfortunately. There we go. Waist is a ball joint, so you get a lot of pivot there as well. Really nice, like that. Skip pieces can go up. They're kind of at an angle though, so a little bit awkward. Legs can go up that far. Unlike the Strike Freedom though, the skirt piece is once again back to being solid butt plate. I'm not sure why. So you can get back a little bit, but that's, yeah, that's a bit of a step backwards. The Strike Freedom has a completely free butt flap. Not sure why they done that. These do have pull down hips, like so. You can see it right there. They come down at an angle though, so even though you get more range, if you're using that entire thing, where you get more range, it's kind of awkward to make it look natural, because obviously it's at an angle. So yeah, a bit strange there. We have thigh rotation, double joint at the knee, which again gets a bit less range than the Strike Freedom did, but still good enough range. You put that down to the fact that this bit is a bit chunkier than back then. So yeah, boots, we have sort of foot guard right here, which is on a ball peg at the back, so that gets in and out the way easy enough. We have a C-clip in here, which means feet can get a decent amount of range either direction. We do also have a hinge which can push the foot back and forth, and toe articulation, which kind of goes up the way, but it's mostly meant for down, so that you can have sort of in-flight poses without the legs looking awkward. And finally, since one of them fell off anyway, we can now see the railgun, which is just on a ball peg this time instead of the hinge previously, so it doesn't actually get out of the way quite as well as the Strike Freedoms did. That's as far as you're going. So without moving them to the side, that's as much of the splits as you can get. If you do move them back the way, you get a much better spread. So yeah, overall, I do really like this kit. Let's just quickly show that. Those still split open like so. Although they do have an actual stop point now, so they're not as awkward to get into position, which is really, really good. Get on there, skirt piece. There we go. So finally, we'll put the wings back on. Obviously, you can swap the wings with any other high-grade Gundam, so I won't show that on anything else. So in terms of the wings, what is it you do? I think you... Do you move the front ones first? Or do you do it the other way around? We'll do it this way. This way looks a bit better. So you bring those up, then you bring the gold parts as far as they will go. These parts right here click upwards quite nicely. You bring these out ever so slightly as well, which is really nice. And then you pop open each of these sections here, which is an absolute pain in the backside to do on camera, so give me a second. And just like that, his wings are completely splayed open. So if we can bring that up like so, even with that the wings are still not in view of the camera. And then finally compare him to his full power mode for the Strike Freedom version, right there. I have also done up the Strike Freedom. I've added some gold paint pen to the insides of those wing sections, give them a bit more detail. And yeah, as you can see, they look remarkably similar, despite the fact that they are entirely new molds. I mean, this one is meant to be an upgrade to that one, so there is that. But yeah, at the end of the day, I love both of these kits for their own reasons. This guy's chunkier, he looks more intimidating. This one strikes a slightly more natural pose in my opinion though, despite having worse gold plastic that looks much more plasticky. And yeah, overall, I would recommend both of them. But if I would recommend one over the other, I would definitely go with this guy first. 100%. Just the way he goes together is a lot nicer than the old one. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think down in the description or in the comments. Link in the description to purchase these guys from AliExpress or Amazon, hopefully. And yeah, until next time, I'll see y'all later.